Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Oh, what's up, Devil Nation? I'm trying to think, guys, which sounder to put in for right now. I was thinking this one.
Oh, no.
Well, we're boned.
That's not bad.
Or just this one.
Oh, God, no!
Yeah. I don't know if we're there yet, but I'm feeling in between both of those. I don't know.
Or just like kind of what, I'm thinking in my head.
Oh, I try to act cool, but inside I'm freaking out.
Not happy with the way this team is playing right now. Yeah. But we're the Uncle Puckers. I'm Chris with Tony and Dan. Tonight we got a guest. Jersey Joe is joining us.
Hello, everybody. What's up, Pucker Nation?
No, thank you, Joe. Now you write for Pucks and Pitchforks. You're also the USHL NCAA regional scout for Draft Prospects Hockey. That sounds pretty
Yes, that is
cool.
correct. Matter of fact, I was getting an email from Daniel Stewart from Draft Prospects Hockey over the summer, and I really wanted to, I always had people, whether it was on Locked on Devils, and they would see me talk about the NHL draft, and everyone before would say, why aren't you a scout? I said, well, I got to find the right place, and I got to make sure it's the right time. I said, well, here it is. So,
all right, Joe. So give us a little background. When did you become a Devil fan? What was maybe the team or the play or whatever that kind of got you to fall in love with this team?
Well, first off, my mom is a New Jersey native. A lot of my family really moved in to New Jersey in 1664 and 1653 when it was...
The Devils were not here yet at that time.
Right. This predates New Jersey. So,
right, but just a little bit.
But my mom's side moved to New Jersey in 1664 and a little after. Wow. So they get farmland in Middlesex County. So my mom's mother has been in New Jersey on the last homestead in North Brunswick and Middlesex County. So my mom, even though I was born in Massachusetts, Western Mass, I always had, been rooted and brought up a New Jerseyan by proxy from her.
Right.
So my mom told me one time, I was pregnant for you at a Devils game in the 88-89 season at the old Meadowlands. I said, are you sure? And I just never, living in Western Mass, I never really liked Boston. I never really liked New York City. I always grew up visiting New Jersey, and I always loved New Jersey. And in 2005, I finally moved out of that Bay State. And one of the first players that I knew right off the bat, of course, was Martin Brodeur. But me being Lithuanian-American on my dad's side, on his father's side, was Dinas Zubras, and he was my true fixation. Yes, I did like Jamie Langenbrunner, and yes, I did like Jay Pandolfo, because he was from Mass. Bill Guerin was also from Massachusetts. So this was before a lot of the New Jersey guys
Bill Guerin, is that what you said?
Made a name for themselves. So
Guerin, gotcha.
There's a little bit of a connection.
Okay,
right.
So what do you like? What was your first memory of the New Jersey Devils? Like the team itself. What's it like? You're like, all right, this is my team, regardless of where you lived or
game or something like that. What was it? Play.
So for me, it was being able to watch guys like Brodeur on TV from the old Meadowlands the last few seasons. So I didn't get to see the glory years of it, but I got to see the remaining pieces. But what stood out to me most was in person in the first season at Prudential Center, 2007, 2008. So I also grew up a Giants football fan in Western Mass, on my father's side. And this is when the Giants won Super Bowl 42 over the Patriots. I hate the Patriots. I do not like anything New England.
Okay.
Right.
And I'm rooted with upstate New York. And
not even the clam chowder, Joe.
No, that's the only thing I like about New England is the clam chowder.
How old are you, Joe?
All right.
So I'm going to be 35 in February. Okay. So,
in utero in '89. I was doing the math.
So yeah, if you know, was it the Winnipeg Jets have a prospect from Russia who has the same birthday as I, but that guy's 10 years younger. And then Owen Tippett of the Flyers shares my birthday, and he's younger than me.
Right.
So I'm February 16th, so I'm almost a Pisces.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you know this, but when the Giants won Super Bowl 42, my first game, NHL game, happened to be when the Devils were playing a Crosby-less Pittsburgh Penguins team, and the Devils won in overtime.
Okay.
And so I sat up around like 2:28, and then I was like, I love this place. Yeah. I want to come here more often. So I was living in South Orange.
So you're one of those people that you weren't around for the golden years, the cups and all that. Kind of catch on a little bit afterwards. There's still
were a pretty good team at that point,
but you never saw them raise the cup, and now you're so this has got to be a very exciting time for you to see. Yeah, because
he's seen them like go into the dark ages.
Yes,
and they from a really competitive team to like the worst team in the league for a couple of years, and now you're coming out the other side, right?
Well, I was also going to the 2011-2012 season games a ton when they used to have the $11 ticket line, because it would be $10 and then there would be the $1 fee they used to charge when Vanderbeek was the owner.
Right.
So my friends and I, we would go from South Orange and we would go into Newark early. My mom's like, why are you going to Newark early? You're going to get shot or whatever. I said, Mom, we're going early before the Devils game. We're going to get tickets right on the spot, and we know where we're going. It's just make sure you're doing the right thing and being safe. So my mom's like one of those Middlesex County girls, like, don't do anything stupid.
Newark doesn't have a good reputation. We all know
it's gotten better.
The area right around the stadium is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's gotten a lot better.
It's a pretty small area. Yeah, it's a pretty small area. You don't want to get lost.
So, all right. So, guys, we have the Winnipeg Jets tonight at 8 p.m. If you guys want to see the keys of the game, check out the YouTube channel. Did a little video up there about what the Devils need to do. But there was some action that happened after that was recorded. So, Jack is apparently on this road trip. We're meeting the team in Pittsburgh on Thursday. At least that's
huge news. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So
I can't wait for him to be back.
Oh my God. So it looks like maybe a little bit sooner than later. We still have no news on Nico. Like I said on the last show, I think this is a lot more serious than anybody's letting
I'm just so confused with it, because I was listening to Fitzgerald and he made it sound like Nico's ready to come back when he feels it, like he was closer. And I did hear early on with Jack that maybe by the Ranger game he'll be back. And then like a week later, we're thinking, nah, we're not going to see him in November, most likely.
Yeah, that's like originally they had said you weren't going to see him until December. Right. But I just think Jack is willing himself to get back on the ice to help his team out. I mean, he is that guy. So that's awesome. Also, Colin Miller made the trip. I don't know if he is in the lineup today. But Lindy finally, it was done in practice. Who knows if it's going to be at the start of the game? But defensive pairings have changed, guys.
Okay,
at least in practice, it looks like we have. Was it Hughes playing with Marino, right?
Yeah,
or no, Hughes playing with Hamilton.
Is
that? Tony, you got the line?
No, but I know that line is they're separated him and Smith finally, and I believe it is Hamilton.
What do we got? Siegenthaler with who?
Marino.
Okay.
I believe. I
like that pairing.
I got to check out. Amanda Stein put it up. I got to see what she has on here, because I know she put it up yesterday of just what the practices were. So let me just check.
I don't know if the pairing change alone will help the team defense problem, but anything to shake that up is a good move. Especially if John Marino can't play his game, something's wrong.
We had Siegenthaler, Marino, Hughes, Hamilton, Ball, and Smith, and then Willman and Miller were, I guess, the fourth pairing of just extras. Mm-hmm. The lines for practice, this was yesterday, was McLeod. He was centering Meyer and Bratt. Mercer was centering Toffoli and Holtz. Hala is centering Palat and Lazar, and Tierney was centering Thomas Nosek and Nate Bastian. So
I'm surprised to hear like Ball and Smith, and then I'm thinking Ball will be the more steady guy. I wouldn't have thought that going into the season.
And Holtz is what, second line, right? On that.
About time.
Holtz got moved up to the second line.
Yeah.
Bobby's going to be happy to hear that too.
Yes.
Now, Joe, what do you think of how Alexander Holtz has been handled this season?
Well, I mean, he's been mishandled in my honest belief, where to me, like, he belongs on the second line, third line, and he needs to be given at least 15 minutes of ice time. Nothing short of that. If he's being played like 9 minutes and under 15, you might as well move on from him, or you should fire Lindy Ruff. I can't. I usually don't like bringing up firing a coach, but from a scouting perspective, you need to have a guy that respects a young, lethal shooter who's developing his game at the highest level of hockey. He's already proven he's a phenomenal goal scorer at the AHL. He's done with the AHL.
You think that Lindy doesn't have respect for Alex Holtz?
He needs to play at the NHL level at the top two pair.
So, Joe, if we hear someone chanting in the stands, fire Lindy, it's going to be you, isn't it? You're starting this cheer off.
Me? I started doing it last year.
Oh, no.
That was it. We found
it.
It was you.
We found him.
There's a madness to it. You have to.
Oh, God, no!
You have to hold management accountable.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I had said coming out of the 21 season, I didn't want Lindy to back. I just felt that he was not the right guy. But then watching the first two games, of course, last season, which were complete and total shit shows,
with Andrew Brunette just waiting in the wings,
right? And then we had Bruno just waiting there, like, okay, he's
and then
the heir apparent. This is how it's going to go. But I did not like. I completely, and I said this on the show, I completely agreed where Devil fans were coming from. I understood where they were coming from with the Fire Lindy chant. I just thought 2 games. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if this week ends up bad and there are some Fire Lindy chants on Saturday against the Rangers.
Yeah, with 2 big names out, the biggest of names out on this team, it's going to be hard to justify pulling that chant right now. But the truth is, he's got a lot to answer for. We don't understand why it's taken this long to mix up the defensive pairings. It's amazing that we've gotten so little out of so many great players to the point where we got to blame coaching right now. I totally get it.
Right. Well, in the art of war, if the orders are not made clear to the subordinates, then it's the fault of the general.
Right.
However, if it's the reverse, it's the fault of the soldier. So what I'm going at is, it's not just Ruff, it's also Ryan McGill when it comes to defense. And
I agree. I think that has been the bigger weakness of their game. They've been scoring goals, and
right.
Even with Jack out of the lineup, they did manage to put up a couple of goals. They only scored 2 last game, but can you maybe once in a while win a 2-1 game? No, this team cannot, because it's given up 3-4 goals a game.
To me, I look at McGill on the bench, and he doesn't look as engaged as he did last year, chatting with Burnett and chatting with Ruff. It looked more like a cooperative on the bench. Like, Ruff didn't look like he had to do all the decision making.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going on between Ruff and McGill. I don't know if the messaging behind Ruff is getting stale, but I'm sure he's going to make some pretty good croutons in that salad if the message is getting even more stale and stale.
Gotcha.
Okay, yes.
All right, yeah, it took a sec. But I again, last year I thought that, we wondered how much of this is Burnett, how much of this is Ruff, who's really the one kind of pulling the strings? Is Burnett? This team took off with a fucking rocket attached to it, up their ass. So
yeah, was he
really
translating Lindy better than Lindy did
and then
himself?
Now you have Travis Green, but on the same time, Travis Green's brought in as the assistant coach or associate coach to work on the power play. You can't ask for anything more as far as our special teams has got power play, not our penalty kill. It's a team defense problem. And, we keep on hammering it home. It's a team defense problem, but at the same time, we know, at least I don't believe that this is a personnel problem. I believe that this is most definitely a management problem. Let's just say it's however, whatever this system is supposed to be, it's how it's conveyed, how it's, these guys aren't buying into it for whatever reason. Too many
guys who are not performing. So, there's 1, 2, 3, you look at those guys, but it's virtually everybody.
I go back to of course I always go back to football for a comparison, but it is my second favorite sport, and I'll go back. We lost Jack and Nico. We lost our two main guys, our heart and our soul of this team. And that is now a time that the team needs to rally together and say, all right, guys, we don't have them. We can't depend on them. They're not coming back. We still have, at that time, 72, 73 games left to play. And, if they're going to be gone for 10 or 12 games, we have to keep our head above water. And they didn't. They came out flat. Like I said about football, I'm a Viking fan. We lost the best wide receiver in the game. We lost our quarterback. Things look bleak. What did the team do? They rallied around the coaching staff. They rallied around each other. They pulled off 5 in a row. Guys stepped up and busted their ass for the guy next to them. And the Devils right now don't do that, but I'm not blaming the team at this moment. I'm blaming Lindy Rupp and the coaching staff, because how do you expect to have any continuity, and how do you expect to have any chemistry when you're giving guys, 30 seconds a night to work together? I don't believe in that concept. I'm a firm believer that you put 3 of our top guys on 6 of our top guys on 2 lines, and I don't give a shit in what order. Give them enough time, they're going to create some offense.
This is a damn good team on paper, even without Nico and Jack. They should be performing at a better level.
And I'm gonna tell you some numbers straight off of Money Puck. So if you just look at the Devils' defensive pairs, if you look at the best and then the worst. So if you look at the top 5 when it comes to expected goals against per 60, it's the Hamilton Marino pairing with 0.59. Meanwhile, they score 2.36 goals for per 60. So that's a healthy ratio there. I would keep that intact. Hughes and Hamilton, 5.44 goals expected 4, and then they only surrender under 2 goals at 1.81. Ball and Marino, I'm glad they kind of changed it up, because the ratio is a little bit off, because that they were scoring 2.04 and then they gave up 2.26. And then you go down below with Hughes and Brendan Smith. I do not like Brendan Smith whatsoever. I love Luke Hughes, don't get me wrong. But that pairing, off kilter, I'm glad they changed it, because it was 1.66 and 2.52. And then you put Ball with Smith. Ball underperforms with Brendan Smith. There's a trend there.
Yes, it is.
And it's a 1.8 expected goals for per 60 versus a 2.52 surrendering goals. That's 2.5 goals surrendered. And then if you look at Siegenthaler and Hamilton, they balance each other out properly. 3.48 goals for, they only surrender 2.56 goals per 60. Then you take Hughes and Marino, 3.19 versus 2.66. And then you put the least healthiest. It's Siegenthaler and Smith, 1.74 versus 4.64 given up per 60.
And you know what's funny is when you read those off, if you asked me to put the worst pairing together in my mind, I would have nailed it. Because that's just without the numbers in front of me. That's what I see. I see Siegenthaler as iffy and Smith as poison. You put them together, you got the worst combo. And that's what I don't like. That's what's hurting this team. Personnel-wise, we said, it's not all personnel, except for the position of Brendan Smith. He's just totally underperformed, even when a team's not really quite sure of their job. I don't know what it takes to make him play better, but that's something I know we have limited options. It's good to hear Miller's on the trip. I would love to see him in for Smith anytime soon. That would be awesome.
Can someone say it's Miller time?
Yeah, exactly.
Crack a can open. It's Miller.
Now,
right.
Tone,
I will say this. I would much rather bring up Daniel Misule rather than having Colin Miller at this time.
I don't agree with that. Only because that veteran leadership, I know he didn't look good in preseason, and I know that Ruff didn't trust him to open up on game one, but I just think that the intangible, if he brings a veteran that knows what he's doing back there, I think he can only help this team right now. I really do. I know he had a rough preseason, but
he's looking good now.
About that. So we'll hopefully, we'll see how that goes. But I want to see Miller in this lineup. We traded for him. We gave something up for him. I want to see him in the lineup.
I would much rather Miller than Brendan Smith any day. I like Miller as a veteran defenseman. Not only can he defend properly and play physical, but when he can shoot, he has one heck of a slap shot.
Well, I thought that Brendan Smith in the Washington game, he started laying the body a lot and late in that third period. And I thought, okay, if you're going to start bringing this part of your game in, I can live with your stupid mistakes and your dumb penalties if you're going to play a physical aspect. But, I mean, the guy's been with the team for, a year and a half, and we've only seen that in one game. But no. I want to ask Tone, because, you haven't been on in a few shows, Tone. What are you thinking about Lindy Ruff right now? I know you're a big fan of him, and I know you probably don't agree with what we're saying.
Yeah, but I agree with some of it. I think it's actually mixed. I don't think it's all Lindy Ruff at all. But I also think
it's all his fault, Tony.
It's all his fault.
It's all his fault.
But I think it's definitely there's a little bit of problems there. I think I don't know, for some reason without Jack Hughes, we just it's like a poison. We just cannot. There's a lot of guys, like we said, are underachieving. Now I'm starting to hear, I don't know if you guys heard this new rumor that Nikita Zadorov from Calgary going to Jersey. That's been the talk I've heard for the last 2 days. Defenseman, physical guy. But I think I brought this up to Chris when we were talking yesterday off the show. I've been saying the same thing for like a year and a half. One big problem I think with this team is definitely toughness. I think it affects us when our injuries are going to pile up, and I guarantee you when Hughes comes back, they're going to go after him again. And I don't really blame the goaltending the last few games. Hasn't been great, but there's a lot of question marks. I mean, it's weird. Like, I think we were saying, like, we know we overachieved a little bit last year, right? We had a hell of a season. The points were really high. But, Chris, I think it was you that said if this season would have happened last year, it would have made more sense than this year.
Our seasons are flipped. We should be doing last year. We should be having that season now. But, look, I also think that as much as we can sit here and say all the negatives and how this team just hasn't been playing up to its potential right now, I don't think any of us would be shocked if these guys just go and rattle off a fucking 10-game win streak. Would you?
Exactly.
I know I wouldn't.
They're due. I mean,
they're overdue.
Yeah. And it's going to be tough now catching the Rangers. They're playing some great hockey.
To anyone who's a Ranger fan, saying, "Oh, we're gonna win a cup now." It's too early a season. How many teams early on in the season have ever won the cup? Very few.
Well, I mean, I if I'm a Ranger fan, I'm looking at this team right now, and I'm maybe not saying that we're gonna win a cup, but I'm saying the type of style we're playing, the goaltending that we're getting, the scoring that we're getting. This is how you win Stanley Cups.
Opposite. They're not blaming their coach. They're going, Laviolette is the best thing that has happened.
They're buying in.
Absolutely. And the fans are seeing that. His system is working. The personnel hasn't changed much. It's that system that Laviolette.
And with that goaltending they have, if you get that system working, it's dangerous. I mean,
I mean,
it
right
gives
now,
Shesterkin a chance to be himself. And, I was looking at last week at an article about, we need league average goaltending. We'll be fine. I called nonsense on that. I don't agree with that. League average goaltending is not going to save this team.
Above and even average will.
It would have to be way above average, and it would have to be at a high. Right now, we're giving up way too many quality chances. I know there's metrics for how many top tier chances we're given, and if we look into that, I expect to see we're giving up not only just way too many chances, way too many goals, way too many scoring opportunities that a league average goalie is not going to help much with, and I don't think our goalies are really the main number one problem. I wouldn't mind better goaltending, but we saw it last year. Shesterkin couldn't stop the Devils, and he's arguably the best goalie in the league.
I know that tonight against Winnipeg, I'm going to have in the back of my head the what could have been watching Connor Hellebuck, playing probably really good, and I wanted him. I think a lot of Devil fans.
He has not had a great year so far, though.
I know he hasn't had a great year, but Winnipeg is still their third in their Central. They're playing good. I think I think they're only 1 point above us, but it's a bit of a weaker division. We're right now fourth. I mean, we got the friggin' Capitals ahead of us. The Washington effing Capitals are ahead of the Devils. Now I get it. It's we have 68 games left, 69 games left to play. Standings don't mean shit,
right?
But that just to see that, it's like, man, we were in the top 2 or 3 or top 2 rather from this point until the end of the season last year.
Right, and we hit that 13-game win streak.
Yeah, we could really use one of them now.
And goaltending wise, I think Schmidt is not ready yet to be. So he's not.
I will tell you this: the last time he's out, you really can't even pin that one on him. The time before that is one of 2 games I can think of so far where the goaltending was really the issue in the game.
But I think with Vanacek and Schmidt, with that combo, I was all for it. During the offseason, I felt pretty confident in it. But now that I watch it, I don't know if you could win a championship with these 2 goalies. I mean, I'll just be honest.
I have a hard time grasping onto VTech. He's Jekyll and he's Hyde, and he's either on or he's off. And some days he looks like a Vezina goalie. Some days he looks like he's way below average. But I rather much get a goaltender like Karel Vejmelka. Honestly, he's one of those goalies I've been tracking over a year now, and I much rather get him because the way he does it for a team like the Coyotes last year, he was stealing games left and right that technically Arizona should have won the draft lottery. And that says a lot to me because you have, last year, the Devils had one of the best defenses with Graves and Severson there. But the Devils do need to go in big for Zadorov. I would be happy if they packaged a roster player and did a sign and trade for him. Mm-hmm. Because
what roster
you
player?
Can't be soft.
What roster player?
Roster player, as much as I love Kevin Ball, he might be going the other way.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
That's a big mistake.
But I'm just saying that would be on Fitzgerald's part, not my idea.
I think you have enough.
I would much rather anyone else, but you would have to throw in someone like a Tobias Velen instead.
I don't think that Fitzgerald is going to move Ball. His upside, his ceiling is too great.
Right.
He has the potential.
That's my biggest fear.
So I think, if it's going to be a guy on this roster right now, I think it's kind of obvious that it would probably be Alex Holtz.
Alex Holtz would be in that package, and my fear is he pulls off a Philip Forsberg.
I'm fine with that. Again, if he's going to go to Winnipeg and have a great career there and help them win games. What was that? Calgary.
Right,
I'm
Calgary.
sorry. I was
like, hold a second.
Yeah.
You're because you're then thinking of Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah, I was thinking Connor Hellebuck. You're right, Calgary. If he was to go to Calgary and have a great year, a great career, I'm fine with that. Good for him, as long as it makes the Devils better.
Makes it easier that it's a West Coast team.
Yeah, that's true too. But we also have enough depth in our pipeline, which I'm sure you know a lot more about than I do. But that we can make a really nice package for a team that is struggling right now. They're looking to rebuild. Right. They're looking to dump some of their bigger contracts, which is why this guy's even
we're finding a hard time to get our centers in. Center-wise, we are overflowing.
Right. And in over a year after this season, in over a year from that, you got Arseny Gritsia coming over from the KHL. And his agent made it known that he did sign a 2-year extension in the KHL, and you know what? He's a much better skater and better overall shooter than Alexander Holtz is. I was on the fringe between Holtz and Raymond and Perfetti. I liked Raymond more than Holtz, and then I liked Perfetti more than Holtz. Holtz was my C plan when it came to that draft. So. But I was floored when they got Dawson Mercer. because I didn't expect him to go that far down to the Devils. Yeah. And then the Muhammadulin pick, I was a bit shocked, but knowing that the Devils always had really good coverage in the country of Russia and that region, didn't completely surprise me, but I did drop my jaw. But,
I gotcha.
But packaging the Muhammadulin for Timo Meier and Ahotyuk, actually, there's a trade tree that goes all the way back to the Timo Meier deal, back to 1989 when the Devils got Bill Guerin. So there's a huge limb from that tree that still keeps growing to this day.
It's going to be interesting to see if Tom Fitzgerald pulls the trigger on any trades this early in the season. But it does look like defensively we are, maybe having to make another move. But I also think we have guys. Why not let Simon Nemec come up and give him a shot? Let's see.
He's my favorite right-handed defenseman in all of hockey.
That's the other thing, being a right-handed defenseman. I think we got to bring him up.
The biggest problem I hear about with Nemec is, and I've heard it from a couple different people, is that his defense is just not there yet. Even with Utica, there's definitely a lot of things missing still. They're still working on shit with him. That's why they don't want to bring him up, I hear, because that's his
I get that.
Right.
Yeah,
it's tough too right now because we have a whole team defense problem. You would really love to work him in when everything's going right, and he's just got to worry about his game and not trying to. Let's face it, like the forwards are not coming back to help, and that makes a defenseman look bad.
How we're playing right now, I think it could be a detrimental to his development to have him on this team right now. The way we're playing right now, I do think, but I cannot wait to see him play up here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got to figure their own shit out before they start bringing in a developmental guy.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you guys this from his draft year. If you look back at Nemec's career, he was an under 16 guy going into the Slovak Professional League.
Right.
And he played on 2 teams, and he eventually made it from his hometown team near the Polish border in Slovakia. Made it over to Nitra, which is close to the mainland in Slovakia near Hungary.
Okay.
With Nitra. So he played a couple more years. He racked up a ton of assists, but not a lot of goals, but he developed his offensive game and his elite level passing and shooting. And then eventually the Slovak national team goes, we're going to Beijing. We need you. And the Ivan Hlinka Gretzky tournament team needs you. So he got a crap ton of international ice experience. But the downside was that he didn't get enough North American ice experience, especially when the COVID year happened where things could have been in North America, but instead, things kind of, were held off for a little bit on the back burner. They had to cancel World Juniors. So anyways, I said to my buddy Trey Matthews on the Locked On Devils podcast, I said, Nemec does not need to stay in Europe any longer in Slovakia. He needs to come to North America to improve not just his offensive game at the AHL level, he needs to improve his defensive awareness game at the AHL level. So that way, when he does get summoned up, he can answer the bell at a moment's notice. And it's not going to take him long.
No.
Whether it's a quarter of the season AHL or half a season AHL. It's only a matter of time when he gets called up, not if.
And what do you think, Tone? You want to see Nemec up?
I would like to see him up, but I think you guys made a good point. Like I said, I have heard that he's got still some issues with his defense, and with the state we're in right now, it just might not be good to have him up there right now. We were saying, I think, when the season started, that we definitely think he'll be up this year at some time. It's just, I just heard it today. Actually, they said they were still working on stuff with him down there. So, I don't know. I mean, I knew we were going to have some defensive problems this year, but this is a little bit worse than I thought it would be.
Sure.
I thought they'd have it figured out by now. Yeah, I mean, I think we all kind of knew with the absence of Severson and Graves, what's it going to be like? You're bringing in, Ball, who's very young, Luke Hughes.
Yeah, I was worried about Ball. I was worried about Hughes defensively. Look where they are, though. They're not your bottom two defensemen.
And they're not the problem.
I did not see, honestly, I would have thought our most steady guy would continue to be Marino.
I thought Siegenthaler was going to have a better year. I know I said that. I mean,
absolutely. Siegenthaler, and then Smith, I expected to get a steady, experienced hand who's not going to make a lot of mistakes. Got just the opposite.
And Marino definitely has got to pick his game up, and it starts tonight. I mean, this isn't a backbreaking loss if you lose to Winnipeg. It's not a conference game or something, but you got a big week ahead of you. There's 3 big games. You have a lot of good stuff right now. Colin Miller's with the team now, and Jack is coming to Pittsburgh, and who knows what's up with Heischer. But I think
I'm less concerned about getting the win than just seeing the team play the way they can play.
Well, they're not favored tonight. I'll tell you that. Winnipeg is the favored team. So if you guys are interested, you can bet all your NHL action on DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, the Devils are getting 1.5. So the Vegas has no confidence in New Jersey right now. But if you feel different, hey, download the app now and use code THPN, and new customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023, all rights reserved. That's our new November DraftKings script.
I was going to say, it's a little different at the end. I noticed that.
Yeah, it's a little different.
There's something else to haunt our nightmares.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's got to be mentioned is that Greg Wyshynski put out a tweet earlier on X about changing the format on 3 versus 3.
Okay.
Did you guys see that?
I did not. What's this proposed change?
So it's also mentioned by Greg Wyshynski on the ESPN app. And so I'm going to have to pull that up because
I think you turned your camera off, Joe.
That's okay.
Almost yeah, but if one of you guys do look that up for me, pull it up because it was just freshly off the press.
Dan, can you pull that out?
Under 2 hours ago.
Pulling it out.
What was it on X or just an article?
It was on both X and the ESPN app.
What's his name?
Greg Wyshynski, WYSHYN, or
I got it.
WYSH.
I got
it's impossible.
And SKY.
Nobody knows how to spell Wyshynski. Let's see.
It should be with an SZ next time.
I got his name.
He's also a Devils fan, by the way.
All right. Go easy on him then.
He's a very credible source.
And what did he say? He said what now?
That there's going to be some sort of new format being improved for 3v3 overtime play.
So maybe that's just as simple as going to 10 minutes like we've always called for?
Here's the thing. They need to make it go as long as they can until they get a registered goal.
Instead of having the shootout.
Here's the thing. The playoffs, you want to be ready for the playoffs? Get rid of the shootout. Train your team to think about
I agree with that.
For the goal.
If that's the logic behind that, they might as well get rid of the 3-on-3, and I think everybody loves the 3-on-3.
I love the 3-on-3.
That's not going to help you with the playoffs.
Get rid of the shootout.
Right.
Yeah. It does nothing. Other than set you up for penalty shots. That's it.
I have the article here. And so this is on the ESPN app by Greg Wyshynski. He writes, the NHL is considering rule changes to create more offense and overtime games. At their meeting Tuesday in Toronto, the league's general managers discussed potential tweaks to the 3-on-3 and overtime. The NHL's current format sees teams tied after regulation play 5 minutes of 3-on-3 sudden death. If the score remains tied after that, the game is decided in a shootout. Quote, the purpose of overtime is to end the game before the shootout, and we need to make sure that continues to progress, says Bill Armstrong, the Arizona Coyotes GM. Colin Campbell, the NHL Vice President of Hockey Ops, said the league still supports the 3-on-3 format and hasn't discussed any major overhauls to overtime. Okay, so, quote, we haven't gotten to whether it should be longer or whether we should get rid of the shootout, he said. We don't mind the format. The GMs instead focused on how to create more scoring chances during the 3-on-3, which has become more meticulous and less chaotic in its 9 years of existence. Their biggest gripe, players possesses the puck for too long outside of the attacking zone.
Oh man, this is scary. So they're gonna do what? What kind of rule could you do?
Let's see. The GMs discussed different concepts for overtime rule tweaks. Much of it focused on players circling back into their own zone with the puck to regroup before rushing up the ice. It's become a puck possession game now. Winning the opening draw is a big thing. Dallas Stars GM Jim Nill said, quote, coaches are very good and players are good, and they're finding different ways to do things. We just want to make sure that excitement's still there. The GMs discuss. I'm just already getting to the point. Like, why do they have to fucking put their dirty little fingers in everything that's
exactly?
Good?
That's what I'm getting aggravated.
Make it 10 minutes. Most of those games will be over with.
Yeah, like I could see them come up with like weirdo rules, like don't take the puck in the backwards direction, and then they're going to be with some kind of clock. It's going to be reviewable. Another annoying.
The GMs discussed a variety of concepts to juice that excitement, including restricting a team from skating back into its own zone, almost creating a half-court version of 3-on-3 overtime. There also has been talk about putting a timer on players to ensure that they clear the defensive zone quickly instead of regrouping there. Unintended consequences are always considered with these things, Campbell said. Quote, we could put a shot clock in there, but we don't want to stop playing for violations. We don't want to have more face-offs. There are GMs who believe allowing players to regroup in their own zone ends up creating better chances than it prevents.
Absolutely. You know, how many times have we seen that?
And here's the kicker. When it gets down to like the final seconds in a 3v3 and the other team knows that they're better at the shootout and they run the clock out, kind of like a running back in college football goes, we're just going to take it and we're just going to take a possible win if they know that they're tied and go for the extended play.
They won't be able to do that if you take the shootout away. So that's the problem. If you
take the shootout away.
Yes, exactly. So the biggest problem with the 3-on-3 is the shootout. When you think about it, as far as what's slowing down the 3-on-3.
If you remove the shootout completely, you're going to have guys gunning for the shot first before they even think about pass.
Who's bitching about the 3-on-3? Like, I don't know who's bitching about the 3-on-3.
I don't know. I thought the whole deal was everybody likes the 3-on-3. Nobody likes the shootout. I think the answer, what to do, is obvious. Yeah. Don't ruin the 3-on-3 as a fix to why you should keep the shootout. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah,
have we learned, like, more rules is more aggravation?
And I would bet if you put the 3-on-3 to 10 minutes max, you would I would say you would end the percentage of games that would end would be in the 90 percentile. It would absolutely like, so, okay, what do you do for those 3 or 4% of games that go, well, then if you want to throw a shootout in after 10 minutes, I know it's a lot of hockey, but you figure something else out. You know, you fucking go to 2-on-2. I don't give a shit. You just don't fuck with the 3-on-3. Other than making it longer, don't mess with it. It's perfect. It really is. And to me,
the 2-on-2. That's
some of the most exciting hockey that you have is 3-on-3. And then, if you don't score for 3-on-3 for 10, then you throw it to 2-on-2, and you know, that'll be over in no time.
Maybe even 15 minutes of 3-on-3, because 2-on-2 is ridiculous in a way, but it's way less ridiculous than a shootout. Even 1-on-1 is less ridiculous than a shootout.
I like the 15, Dan. I like the 3-on-3 for 15. I think that, and I go right back to what Chris said. It's going to be about 90% games ended.
I don't think
satisfactory and exciting.
No players, the players union is never going to agree to a 15-minute overtime period, regardless of whether or not it's.
But what if you get rid of the shootout? Because that takes about the same amount of time.
I agree with that. But if you're going to say we're going to throw a 15-minute overtime of 3-on-3 I think you'll get blowback from the players' union. Like that's way too much hockey. I think that's probably why the 10-minute is not even being spoken about.
So I think it's ridiculous, but
I mean,
maybe they could settle on 10 and no shootout. That would be equivalent amount of time to what we're doing now.
And then just do a tie then. If you're still
a tie's not the worst. The only thing is if you know a tie is out there, you can just yeah, I don't know. I definitely think some version of that makes sense over what we're doing now.
I mean, there are people much smarter than us that can figure that out. What's that, Joe?
What they should do is for regulation wins, the winning team should get 4 points. If you go to overtime, you win, you should get 3 points. The losing team should get 1 point in overtime.
So you're saying to make every game a possible 4-point game?
You're going to get 1,
I want to see that for the next season.
Is that what you're saying?
Because
that would be a radical change, but I wonder how it would look mathematically. That
blow a 3-point lead on the last game of the season.
Yeah, I don't know though. You only got 3 possible outcomes, so you really only need 3 points. Like, right? You're going to get 1
3 points for a win,
0 if you lose in regulation.
I think he said 4 points
1
for a win.
if you make it to overtime. Yeah, but you don't need 4. Is what I'm saying. To ability.
Right, and if you
2 points if you win, if you lose in overtime, is that what we're doing? No, 1 point.
You still get the 1 point.
Okay.
So this is forcing the team that's possibly going to lose to try and do better.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying
I got you.
If it goes to overtime, right off the bat, each team gets a point. Okay, like they are now, right? So now every player gets a point. And then if whoever wins in the overtime gets 2 points?
2 extra points.
But what does the loser get?
It means 3 points. Is that what you're saying?
So the winner in the non-regulation win gets the total of 3 points.
Okay, and then what does the loser get? Just 1?
Just 1. Solamente
How's
uno.
that different from now?
Because you want to discourage them from going into overtime, and you want to encourage more exciting hockey.
So he's saying, you won't play for the tie because
you have a possible 2 points that you can get. As opposed
and if you
to
win
just
in regulation, you can get 4, right? If you win in regulation.
4 is better. Who wants to settle for 3 or 1 point? Mm-hmm. I don't want 1 point.
I have tried explaining I have a buddy I work with that does not in any way, shape, or form follow hockey. So in about a couple of weeks ago, we were talking a little bit, and he asked what the Devils' record was, and I don't even remember what it was. I think it was like 7-5-1 or whatever it was at the time, or 7-3-1. And he's like, "Well, what's the 1?" So I'm explaining to him that it's how it goes. Okay, the points for winning, for overtime loss. I went on about 10 minutes explaining this to him, and he was very confused by it. And he's like, well, what? I don't get overtime loss. Then what does that mean? So I'm trying to explain all this to him. I think your way, as much as it might make sense, I think would confuse the shit out of people that didn't really follow the game. There's just, I think that the NHL has a fantastic way of just overcomplicating simple shit. I mean, like you said, just try it for another offsides is another one. Yeah. Try it for another 5 minutes, 3-on-3. If it ends that way, then each team walks away with a point. It's a tie. That's it. None of you were good enough to score in 10 minutes of 3-on-3. You don't deserve another fucking point.
And Joe, if we hear this rule get changed to what you're saying, man, we're going to remember where it came from.
It's a Jersey Joe rule.
It's a Jersey Joe. I know Bettman's listening.
You know what?
Copyright.
I always had a beef with Bettman. I mean, there are certain things I do like. I just don't like the decentralization of the draft because it takes away the fun and the nuances for the fans. And one of the things I will say is I like seeing the head scouts and the owners going up there and welcoming up their first round pick.
Right.
But I also like seeing the GM sitting at that table announcing the name of that player, and you go, this is a special moment if this guy does turn to be a critical factor in this organization. But when they decentralize, it's like, oh, we're just going to do it over Zoom and stuff like that. It takes away the speculation season when you're thinking, what is Fitzgerald going to do?
It looks kind of cheap on the NHL's part, too. Like, they don't want to throw a big event with the flying everybody around.
They did throw a huge event. This year's draft was huge.
This year was
but they're talking about
right.
changing that shit, right?
But after 2024, that goes out the door.
Why? What are they going to do in 2024?
World or something?
In 2025, it's going to be like Zoom call, except for Bettman's going to be at the helm,
So they're going to do it the way they did it back in the 1960s and 70s.
The COVID spell, yes.
I have not heard anything like that. And that to me makes zero sense. That doesn't sound like not. Because just for the NHL's sake. You know how much money the NHL brought in having the draft in Nashville? How much money the city of Nashville made?
I heard this.
That can't
also,
be
Chris.
right.
Yeah, I
it
heard
can't
this
be
also.
right.
Yeah,
it just
I heard
seems
this
like
like
bad
2 days ago.
business.
Yeah, it is bad business.
like
You
2
lose
weeks ago.
publicity. When you have a big draft, you get media coverage. ESPN will pay attention. ESPN will have camera crew there. You're not going to get that time. And that translates to real dollars later on when ESPN don't want to play to put your games up because they don't have as much interest,
And then you had the draft with in Vancouver where the Devils were picking for Simon Nemec. You had a big draft party in Asbury Park at the Stone Pony, and I was there. And that was fun as hell.
Yeah.
But even if it's not the draft lottery, at least have Stanley Cup parties, playoff parties. Like, we already know about, college football playoffs at bars and stuff like that. There needs to be, if the Devils, get to that level again, going back to the playoffs, having a successful season once again, you want to brand each one of your 32 teams to have something special in that region. So people, the casual person goes, this feels great. I want to be part of this. Mm-hmm. So
put a show on. Put the show on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look at Vegas, yeah.
And what the New Jersey Devils need to do is once they break off from MSG Network
that is a big
not
thing.
only televise games in English. You're gonna think I'm nuts. There's already Spanish speakers in this state of New Jersey, but you also got Portuguese, Brazil in the state of New Jersey. So you need to broaden the horizon of other viewers who assimilate to living in New Jersey and New Jersey life as well, and even outside of the state.
It's not what you guys said it is. I'm sorry, I just read it. They're not doing that. They're not doing it where it's just Gary Bettman sitting there. What they're doing is how the NFL and the NBA does it. So there's going to be there's going to be an actual, instead of you sitting at your table and getting up and then going and making your pick, their whole thing is they feel that with the tables so close together and people, all the people can eavesdrop or whatever. All the teams will have their own a war room, and you put your draft in. All the prospects are there. All the teams are there. It's not like just through Skype. It's how they do it in the NHL and NFL. You put your draft in. The commissioner, Bettman, or Roger Goodell gets the pick. Nobody else knows what you picked, and it's just your team in your war room putting your pick in, and then he comes out, says what the pick is, players there, all that stuff. So
this is better than what I thought.
Yeah, it's not like just everyone staying home and sending their draft picks in, and then him just reading, the Devils drafted 25th overall, blah, 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 from wherever, and then it goes on to the next one. It's not going to be like that. So once the new NHL draft format is put into place, it'll be conducted in a manner similar to that of the NBA draft and the NFL draft. Teams will send in their picks via war rooms, and the prospects will attend the physical draft alongside NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Bettman will then announce the selection, and so the teams won't be there. Like the GMs, like in the NFL, the teams aren't there. The agents are there. The prospects are there. Scouts and stuff are there. But the team puts their pick in from where they are. That's why you always see, whoever your NFL team is, they get drafted. What's the first thing that happens? They get a phone call from the GM or the head coach and this and that. So they're not there with them. But so in that aspect, the draft will remain the same as far as, like Dan said, the visual aspect of it, marketing of it, and all that will remain the same. They just feel like people are walking by and stealing what you think. Oh, shit, Tony's going to pick blah, blah, blah. We better pick them first. Right. So this way it'll by decentralizing the teams, GMs, coaches won't be there. Agents, prospects, family, all that shit.
Well, what happened was there was an article that Rachel Dory commented on saying they should abolish the draft, and then that article was reading they should completely change and make it go back to what it was like during COVID. That was my biggest fear that I brought up earlier that I don't want ever.
No, that would be
happen.
awful. That'd be awful.
Terrible.
Completely
on the
agree
NHL
with you.
part.
Yeah, you got to get the players out and see them there, and that's the whole moment. Is that young person putting the jersey on? That's important.
Yeah.
And I will tell you from being a video scout, I like having the privacy being on my computer, and I don't want to have to answer in person because at least I can be like, I have a good feeling about this player, and I know someone's not snooping on my draft board. Like, you can create a Google Sheets list of players and be like, I feel comfortable about this guy versus that guy in my ranking, and if this guy's not available, at least I know that I can Gmail this to the higher up and say, look, this is who I have. If you want to go with this guy, pick him.
Right.
Yeah. It's a hectic thing. You know what else is hectic, Joe?
What else is hectic, Dan?
The holidays.
The
holidays are hectic. I was trying to go to the mall real quick. I forgot it's the holiday season. It took me 20 minutes to get out of the parking lot from the mall. I was in the wrong car, but that's not the point here. The point is the holidays are hectic, and we need something to make this a little better. I am really concerned about the state of our country if Black Friday hits and everybody's waiting for those doorbuster sales, and
well, what else could you do, Dan? What else is out there?
Luckily, the good people at Raycon have a brand new promotion. How would you like to get Black Friday deals before Black Friday?
I would love to.
Without beating people up?
You can.
How about a nice filter?
Absolutely. Look, Tony, you can beat up whoever you want, whoever you can beat up, but you don't have to just to get a great product.
Damn.
You've heard me talk about the Raycon everyday earbuds before, several times actually. They boast 32-hour battery life, and they have a perfect in-ear fit. It's going to fit really good. So, you should try these out. How you're going to get them? You have to wait for Black Friday? No. Right now, if you go to raycon.com, you can get everybody right now can get at least 20% off every single thing on their site. Select items up to 50% off.
That's a lot of percent.
Now, now, look, Raycon, you're going to go and you're going to get the everyday earbuds. Everybody knows them. Those are their number one product. But maybe you need something that charges your devices at a ridiculously high rate, up to 8 times faster with 100 watts of power. Whether you got something that's Type-C, micro USB, that's Bobby, one iOS, or they call this the Magic 180 cable. And that Magic 180 cable is available at raycon.com. So that's cool. You bet you didn't expect that, but it's electronics at least. Are they done? No. How about a water filter? Yeah, everybody, they said everybody likes to listen to music. And what else do people need? Somebody at the meeting raised their hand and said, water? And they said, yes, you're right. Everybody does need water. That's a biological fact.
And mine tastes like shit coming out of my faucet.
That's right. So that's no good. So guess what? Raycon's going to filter out. They say here chlorine and heavy metals, and I assume shit too. The faucet filter is an ultra filter. It's going to make that tap water you use to brush your teeth and to shower with and whatever else you do with your water to make sure it's actually clean. So Raycon's known for delivering these high-quality products. You can go right now to raycon.com/THPN to get 20 to 50% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/THPN to score up to 50% off Raycon products. Buyraycon.com/THPN.
Thank you, Raycon.
There you go.
1 second, my Raycons are not working.
I will tell you, Dan and Chris.
Right.
If you ever lived in South Orange, New Jersey, or anywhere in North Jersey, in the Essex County area, there is heavy metals in your water, so it's going to make you want to take a shower longer.
Yeah.
This is why Raycon needs to come up with more stuff to filter it out.
They need to advertise more in the North Jersey section because apparently they need it. But so listen, before we wrap it up, I'm curious, guys. We'll start with Tony. Dan, I'll go, and we'll finish it up with you, Joe, since you're our guest. What do you want to see tonight? What do you expect to see tonight against Winnipeg, Tone?
I don't feel good about this game. I don't know why.
Because you're negative Nancy.
Negative Nancy, yeah.
Oh, Warwick.
No worry, you are.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
I'm hoping we can pull out of the shit slump we've been into, and just hopefully see a better defensive performance. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I think we're gonna lose tonight, 3-2.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What about you, there, Dan?
I think these defensive pairings will be mixed up for the better, and it's gonna spark some better defense. I see a close game. I see us winning 3-2. So I'll just take Tony's thing and just put a little bit of a positive spin. I think the scoring that would be a great thing for me. And even if we did lose, like Tony says, 3-2, I would like us to keep the goals down. I would like us not to just let another team score at will. So that would be
Hopefully
a win either way.
wrong.
But I'm being positive here.
What I think is,
those poor doomed bastards. I guess.
Yeah, that's what I think. Those poor doomed bastards. No, I think they're going to come out with a lot of fire tonight. I think that they've heard all the noise, and I think the guys in this lineup are way too proud to go out there and drop a third in a row in spectacularly horrible fashion like they've been doing. So I am expecting a better game. I hope that Miller's in the lineup. I'm real curious to see how Holtz does on that second line. Hopefully he's up there for longer than 2 shifts. So, I'm more than anything, like you said, Dan, like the score, yes, of course I want them to win, but even a loss or, an overtime loss or something, as long as you played hard and you looked like a different team, because I don't recognize this team the last 3 games. So that's where I'm at. But if I have to pick a score, I'm going to say it's going to be tight. 3-1 Devils win tonight.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
I got 4-2. I mean, Schmiedo the Torpedo. I mean, he's pretty
Is that what
comical.
we're calling him now? Schmiegel the Torpedo.
I've heard that one.
We called him the playoffs, but to me, he's the Swiss guard when he's on.
And he's Swiss cheese when he's not.
You don't want to be Swiss cheese.
But honestly, I like the pairings in the practice, but for the love of me, I do not want to see Brendan Smith for another couple of weeks.
Or ever.
Okay. All right.
For the love of God, get Nikita Zadorov ASAP from Calgary. He's got nothing else to lose and everything to gain. Tom Fitzgerald,
he's not going to play tonight.
That phone line.
Now, has he said that he wants to play here?
His agent said
he approves a trade here.
He's approved of trade. My thing is this: sign and trade. It's the best thing that the NHL can do.
But why would you want to sign and trade for? Like, I don't know if I want this guy long term.
His contract for the $3.75 million deal is up at the end of the year.
But I mean, I don't want to sign somebody I was okay with them not even signing Toffoli yet, just because I want to see how these guys work out. So I would look, if they did it. I mean, I trust. We've said it on this show a million times. In Fitzgerald, we trust whatever he does. I believe will be best for this team. So until he proves otherwise, I am going to go with that. But I see what you're saying. I mean, look, anything they can do to make this team better, I just want to see it. And hopefully tonight it'll start. So, Joe, anything you want to plug before we wrap it up tonight?
So, for those you don't know, I write or contribute for Pucks and Pitchforks on the fan-sided end of things. I also have my podcast, Heads Up Hockey, on Spotify, all the other places. My podcast name is Jersey Joe, so that's what I go by. And look for some stuff by Draft Prospects Hockey. So I have a few things with them that will be written in scouting reports on certain players for the 2024 draft. So my first name is Joe. My last name is Stanislaw, Stanislau, and I reside down by Asbury Park, New Jersey. So for those of you who don't know, there are a bunch of billet families with their Eastern Hockey League kids that reside in the area, play for the NJ87s. I just haven't bumped into a lot of prospects.
Nice. So, guys, thank you, Joe, for coming on, and make sure you guys check out stuff. So, again, Joe, appreciate the hell out of you, man.
Pleasure
thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. We are the Uncle Puckers for Chris, Tony, and Dan, and Jersey Joe today. And Bobby will be back sometime this week. Wherever you guys check us out, a positive review, 5-star rating, subscription, a like. It goes a long way to help us promote the podcast, and definitely check out tons of other Devil content out there. Check out Jersey Joe. Check out our boy Bill over on the Trap Podcast. It's all good stuff, and that's about it. So for the Puckers, we'll see you when we see you.
Puckers out.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you, Joe. It was a lot of fun.
Glad I could shine a light on a couple other spots.
That's right.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
All right. And